Hello everybody, I've got a sports tier list for you today. I'm sure all of you know what sports is, so I won't need to explain it much. I'm going to be ranking them based on how much I enjoy doing them as well as watching them, so it'll be a combination of both those things. There'll be some sports I haven't done and I've only watched, and vice versa. Bear in mind I'm British, so some sports that aren't big in my country, that's not big in my country, I might not know about, so I have a don't know tier. And I also won't have done all the sports. We're just going to go alphabetically. So starting off with archery. This is a sport I have done. Not many times, mainly when I was younger. When you sort of go on like a outward bound school trip, you end up doing archery. In terms of watching it, I have occasionally watched it at the Olympics, but it certainly won't be my first choice of things to watch. It's definitely more fun to do than watch, but I don't think it's the best sport for me. I'd say a D tier. Then we have baseball. This is one that I have never played. I've played softball, which is very similar. I think it just has like slightly different rules, but it's you know, a similar concept, I believe at least. In terms of watching it, I haven't watched it either, but I know a lot of people just say it's boring to watch as well, but for me personally, I haven't watched it, but playing it is alright, you know. If it's like softball, I think the playing experience on its own for me is enough to put it in D tier. Okay, then we have basketball. This is one I actually do watch, as you probably know if you've seen my NBA team's logo tier list, so you know I'll at least like basketball a bit. In terms of playing it, I haven't really played it much outside of school, but in school we used to play it occasionally. A downside for playing it is I'm pretty short, so you know, weren't really the best at it, and you know, it's hard to enforce the rules, especially over here where people don't know a lot of them. I mean, I watch the NBA a decent amount and I don't know a lot of the rules, like the what's a foul, what's a not, where you can stand and whatnot, but I think in terms of watching it, it is very entertaining. Probably the NBA, it's just so many pauses, like the timeouts, so many adverts, so many like stuff going on, but when the game's actually going, I think it's very enjoyable, and it's enjoyable to play. It's also like a sport that you don't need a full team to play. You can just sort of have a full game, or if you're just on your own, you can all practice your shots, just throw some stuff up in the basket. So yeah, I think basketball for me is an S tier sport. It's very good. Next up we have, guess, BMX. This is one that I've never done. I've done a lot of like normal cycling, so to say, but I've never had a BMX. I have watched a decent amount of BMX, but mainly on like YouTube. It was in the Olympics this year, or last Olympics, and I did watch that. It was interesting, but you know, watching BMX on YouTube is quite enjoyable. But in terms of doing it, I've never done it. But just from watching it alone being good, I think it's B tier. I think I'd enjoy it if I gave it a try, but I'm probably a bit old for it now, to be honest, to start. Then we have bowling. This is one that I have done, but I don't think I've ever watched. Like, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen professional bowling on TV or anything. I don't even know if it is on TV in this country, at least. But in terms of doing it, it's decent. You know, go with a few of your mates, have a couple of games of bowling. You know, yeah. It used to be a popular like party when we were younger as well. People's birthdays were at bowling, and you know, when you're really young, get the ramp out, put the sides up and that. But yeah, this is more of a one that I do rather than watch. But doing it is enjoyable, so I think it's C tier. And we have boxing. In terms of doing it, I've had like one PE lesson where we sort of did boxing, which were just like, you know, punch the bag stuff. Obviously we weren't like having a fight or anything. In terms of watching it, I do occasionally watch it, sort of mainly the big like British fights I watch. Things like that. And for me, it's not my favourite. You know, there's a lot of sort of just. It's not the most interesting sort of sport for me personally. Like, there's a lot of like clinching, doing nothing. I feel like if I wanted to watch a combat sport, I'd probably watch like MMA or maybe even some martial arts. But it's not bad watch. You know, when you get a big fight, when you get a good fight, it is good. But there's some fights that are a bit, you know, a bit boring. And like the big fighters don't tend to fight each other, which is a bit of a letdown. But it's not bad. I think it's, for me, it's a C tier. Then we have cricket. This is one that I've played quite a lot of, as well as watched quite a lot of. In terms of watching it, I definitely prefer the shorter formats like the T20 and the one-dayers as opposed to a test. Like, you know, putting in 5 days of not much happening does get a bit boring. But, you know, the shorter formats are quite good to watch, in my opinion. I do mainly only watch like England again. I won't watch like a random game between Australia and New Zealand or something like that. But, you know, if England are playing, I don't mind watching cricket. In terms of playing it, yeah, I quite enjoy playing it, you know. But mainly when I'm younger, when you sort of, you know, you get to go batting, bowling, wicketkeeper, whatever. If you're actually playing it and you're just stuck at being a fielder all day, yeah, I imagine it could be not as interesting. But for me, I think it's B tier. You know, I like watching it, some of it, and I quite like playing it when I was younger. Then we have sort of cross-country running, or I'm going to take this as road running as well, like any running that's not on the track. In terms of doing this, I do this. I go for a run fairly regularly, you know, just to keep fit, but I enjoy it as well. In terms of watching it, I will watch like marathons at the Olympics and things like that, and the London Marathon I watch usually, but you know, I'm not tuning in for a random marathon in the middle of nowhere. I'm not that interested in it. If you're talking about actual cross country, I did that in high school, but like I've never watched any cross country. I don't think. Maybe like an occasional video on YouTube comes in, you recommend it, and you know, I give it a watch, but I've never been out and watched it. But running, I think, yeah, you know, you don't need much equipment. Like, you just put some trainers on, put some shorts and a t-shirt on, you go out for a run. Yeah, I think it's an A tier sport. Easy to do, keeps you fit. Don't need a lot of money to play it. Not the most interesting to watch though, I guess. It sort of keeps it out of S tier, but you know, it's still a decent watch. Then we have curling. This is like a winter sport. It's in the Winter Olympics. I don't know if this one's probably the least popular sport so far that's been on the list. I have actually had a go at curling once. It was very hard. It's kind of like crown green bowling, but even harder. You know, it's hard to just even like do the slides and whatever, man, get the stones to go where you want, and thinking about other people's stones. Yeah, it's a tough one. In terms of watching it, I don't think it's the most interesting thing to watch, but it's not terrible either. You know, I will watch. Usually the Britain's women's team are quite good at curling, so I end up watching that at Winter Olympics because we usually have a medal chance. But yeah, it's not my favourite to watch. And the one time I played it, yeah, I enjoyed it, but I've only played it once. You know, it's not the easiest to play. Not everyone has access to like a curling ring. So I think probably D tier. Then we have cycling. This is another one I've done a lot of. In terms of like road cycling, I'm going to take this as. Although I have been like mountain biking as well. I do go mountain biking. But you know, I'm going to take this as any form of sort of cycling not on the track. It's a very enjoyable one to do. You know, a nice day. I like going on a bike ride. You know, get up some hills and then enjoy the downhills. Don't need much to do it again, but the bikes can get expensive if you want a good one. But once you've got your bike, you just need a black bike, helmet, and then away you go. You know, you can do it on your own, you can do it in group rides. In terms of watching it, I am a big fan of watching like professional road cycling. I love the Grand Tours, Tour de France, Vuelta, Giro, stuff like that. The monuments, world champs. Yeah, I am a fan of both doing it and watching it. For me, cycling is just an S tier sport. It's also like a good mode of transport as well, but that's just a bonus. The sporting side of it for me is I'm a big fan. Then we have darts. This is one that's a lot bigger in the UK than I think most of the rest of the world, but I'm sure the rest of the world know what it is still. It's pretty big in the Netherlands as well. They have a few good darts players. In terms of playing it, yeah, I've played it occasionally. I mean, I'm very bad at it. Like, I'm just trying to hit 3 darts on the board is my goal, rather than trying to get, you know, a 180 or anything. In terms of watching it, I'm not the biggest fan of watching it. I know a lot of people really love watching the darts, but I feel like a lot of that's because of the crowd, and then rather than the actual darts. But I can see the appeal behind it, you know. It's like very easy to get into. You don't need much equipment, you just need a board and some darts. Most like pubs you'll go to will have a dartboard and stuff like that. You see people playing it often. But for me, I think it's a C tier. Then we have dodgeball. This is one that was like a common game in school. You know, I play a bit of dodgeball. Everyone used to enjoy it when it was played in school. In terms of watching it, I can't say I've ever watched any professional dodgeball. I've seen the film Dodgeball. That's a decent film, but that's not really proper sport, is it? That's more of a comedy film. But, you know, in terms of playing it, I do enjoy playing dodgeball. I mean, I haven't played it in years. Obviously, you need multiple people. You need like 2 teams with probably at least like 3 or 4 to have a game. And you need like a court and whatever. So in terms of playing it, it is fun, but it's quite hard to play. But you do just sort of need a ball and a space, I guess. It's not too bad. But in terms of watching it, like, yeah, I've never watched Pro Dodgeball League or whatever there is, you know, I don't know. Certainly not like an Olympic sport, is it, or anything. So I think I'll put it B tier just because I enjoy playing it so much. And we have fencing. This is one that I've certainly never done. I have occasionally watched it, but like I don't think it's the most interesting thing to watch either for me. It's quite hard to tell who's hit who, because I don't think I know enough about it. I'm not like good enough to even watch it properly. You know, it's not the worst watch. It just, you know, you can tell what's going on, sort of, you know, it's a sword fight, so it's quite interesting, but yeah, I've never done it, and watching it's not the best. I think it's a D tier. Next up we have fishing. I have never been fishing. I've never watched fishing, but I guess I've kind of watched fishing, but not sport fishing. Like, it used to be like Deadliest Catch on Discovery Channel that I'd watch, but that were more like commercial crab fishing, not like going with a rod and reeling stuff in. Like, I wouldn't really want to watch that. In terms of doing it, I think you basically just end up stood about or sat about waiting most of the day. I think it's, you know, it's a popular sport. I think a lot of people do it, but for me, it just doesn't really have any appeal, to be honest. Just spending most of your day waiting for a fish, and then that's it really. Reel it in, you get like 5 minutes of action for a day's waiting. I don't know. Yeah, so I'll put it in F tier. Then we have football, or I'd call American football. This is one I have never played. In terms of watching it, I've watched like a couple of Super Bowls, but I don't really understand what's going on. There's a lot of stopping and starting. Yeah, my only exposure is sort of like the big Super Bowl, which has like, you know, massive halftime show and everything, so it takes like hours and hours to get through the game. I don't really understand the rules properly either. It sort of just seems like more interrupted rugby, but I also don't really like rugby either, so it's not the best start. I mean, it's a very popular sport in America at least, and probably Canada and Mexico, I guess, but in terms of worldwide appeal, I don't think many countries play it really, other than like North America. Yeah, for me, I'm not a fan really. I think it's an F tier. Then we have golf. This is one that I've played a decent amount of when I was younger, but As I've been older, I haven't played it. You know, it's kind of like a bit of a rich person's sport is golf. You know, going golfing is associated with sort of old rich people, at least to me. But when I was younger, I enjoyed it a bit, but not even playing golf that much, but more just sort of hitting a golf ball on a field and maybe doing pitch and putt, I guess, rather than, you know, playing a proper round of golf. In terms of watching it, it's a bit boring to me. I will occasionally maybe have it on in the background, you know, like the British Open or whatever, or if there's like a Brit doing well. But yeah, watching it, not the most interesting. Playing it, it's not bad, but it's expensive. I think it's a D tier. And we have like gymnastics. There's an awful lot of different sports in gymnastics. You know, there's like beams, bars, rings, floor routine, pommel vault. Probably more I'm forgetting as well. So this is quite a hard one to rank, as you know, it's sort of like multiple sports that have just been categorised as like gymnastics on this. In terms of watching it, I do tend to watch some of it at the Olympics because, you know, Britain usually gets some medals in it. In terms of doing it, you get to do most of these at school, like you have a go on beam and pommel horse and stuff like that, and doing vault. In terms of doing it, I didn't really enjoy it, probably because none of us were very good at it, so we were more just like jumping off a box rather than doing an actual sport. In terms of watching it, it's not the most interesting, but it is watchable. I think a D tier. Then we have ice hockey. This is one I've never played. I have occasionally watched it, but not much. When I have watched it, I've kind of enjoyed it. It's a pretty fast-paced game, you know, fast-flowing, quite a few goals. You know, you get the occasional fight, which is kind of what it's known for. You know, you think ice hockey, you kind of think fighting. Well, at least I do. Yeah, it's not really big in the UK, so my only exposure to it's kind of the Winter Olympics and maybe really big NHL games. I've seen a couple of, I think. Like, is it the Stanley Cup? Is that hockey? Could be, I'm not sure. I think it is. But yeah, in terms of watching it, it's not bad. In terms of doing it, I've never done it. But I think it deserves a C tier because, you know, watching it's decently enjoyable. Then we have ice skating. This is something I have done. I mean, not many times, but, you know, go to my local sort of, not local, but local-ish ice ring. Try and skate about a bit. I'm not very good at it because I don't do it often. In terms of watching it, I certainly never watch any ice skating or anything. There is like that celebrity programme where people do ice dancing and whatever, which I don't watch either. In terms of doing it, it's I don't think it's the best either. Probably because I'm not good at it, so I spend most of the time just near the edge trying to go about a bit slowly rather than enjoying myself. I feel like once you get good at it, it'd definitely be enjoyable. But yeah, for me, sort of lack of ability sort of drags it down, and I don't watch it at all, so I'll probably put it F tier. And this is a sport that I do not know what that is. So it kind of looks like, I don't know, a weird version of lacrosse or something, but it's got like a helmet on and a weird like glove, extended glove. I don't really know what that is, but yeah, that's going to have to go in the don't know tier. If anyone knows what that is, please let me know. Then we have, I believe this is judo. This is like a martial art where it's all mainly about sort of throwing people. I think, you know, you like get your judo throws, like grabbing the lapels and stuff. I have had a couple of goals at this in like PE and stuff. You know, you get like the old raggedy judo shirt on and throw your mates about. Those teachers trying to teach you how to fall properly, but you're just, you know, throwing your mate over your shoulder. So, you know, that's a bit of fun, but in terms of watching it, again, it's maybe another one I'll watch at the Olympics if Britain are going to get a medal, but other than that, I don't really have much interest in it. I think to do, it could be fun, to be fair, but yeah, I've certainly not had the most experience with it. I think a D tier again. this is another one I don't know. Looks like some form of martial arts mixed with fencing, but you have like a wooden stick. Oh, it's probably kendo, because you know it's kendo stick in it that they say in like wrestling in WWE. Looks like that, but if it could be kendo, I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know. If it is kendo, I've never seen it or done it or know what it is really. So yeah, I don't know. I think it is kendo though. Then we have kickboxing. This is one that I've never done. It's kind of, you know, similar to boxing, but I think all the sort of athletes are a lot less famous in it. And also you're allowed to do like kicks as well. In terms of watching it, I can't say I've really ever watched much kickboxing. I don't think it's on TV much in this country. I've never done it, but you know, I think it could be interesting to watch. / do, you know. I think, yeah, I'd think D tier. Then we have lacrosse. This is one I've never watched, but I have played it a bit in school. It's quite hard because, you know, when you're first playing it in school, everyone's bad at it, so you're trying to throw the ball about, and it's pretty hard. Everyone's missing, you're just scooping up the ball, you never really get a game going, you're just sort of throwing a ball about on a big stick. But, well, you know, that is decently fun. In terms of watching it, I've certainly never watched it. I think it's a lot bigger in America. I know they have like university teams and stuff that play lacrosse. I think it's like a big sort of college sport, but in this country, not as big, I don't think. Yeah, it's not my best, but it's not the worst either. I think we could put it in D tier. I think we're going to move golf up as well. I think D tier is getting a bit full, and yeah, I certainly have played golf and will watch golf occasionally more than the rest in this tier. Yeah, golf seems fair in C tier. Just a bit of an adjustment there. Then we have like mixed martial arts. This is more of a sort of, it's got a lot bigger in recent years with UFC becoming like massive. If I was going to watch like a combat sport, I think this would be my one of choice. You can also, you definitely get boring fights where it's just two people on the ground like doing a technical wrestling where, you know, I don't know much what's going on. But, you know, sometimes you get really good fights, you know, you get nice mix of strikes, kicks, bit of ground work, you know, submissions, whatever, all sorts going on. In terms of doing it, I've certainly never done it. But, you know, it could be alright, something to give a try. But I think out of all the combat sports in here, it's probably my favourite, so I'll put it in B tier. Then we have pool or snooker, but I'll sort of merge them together. I think snooker's a lot bigger in the UK, whereas pool was more sort of worldwide. Yeah, this is one I've certainly done a decent amount of times, you know. Another one that's sort of, you go to most pubs, they'll have like a pool table. I've never played snooker. They're like, that's more sort of the sporting side. It's like a lot bigger table and a lot harder, I think. Like, there's more things going on. It's not just pot your balls and then pot the 8-ball. In terms of watching it, I've never watched pool, but I do occasionally watch the snooker. Can be decently interesting. You know, I see some people doing some nice shots, but you know, it's not the most interesting sport to watch, but it's not bad. In terms of playing, yeah, you know, I think most people probably give it a go. I'm not the best at it, but it's decently enjoyable to play. I'd say it's a B tier, mainly from the playing aspect. And we have rugby. This is one I've played a little bit in PE, but did not enjoy it, and I do not enjoy watching it. I might very occasionally watch England play in like the World Cup if it's like a final or something, and even then I don't really know what's going on. I don't understand the rules. It's a bit boring to me. Yeah, I think it's just an F tier. I'm not a fan of it. Then we have like sailing. This is one I've never done, and in terms of watching it, I have watched it in the Olympics because Ben Ainsley was like very good at it and used to get going every year, so I used to watch that. But outside of the Olympics, I've certainly never watched it. Never done it. It's it's just a race. I'm always a fan of some form of race. It's at least a bit entertaining. But yeah, it's certainly not my favourite. I think it's probably another D tier. Then we have badminton. This is one I've played a decent amount of. I quite like playing badminton. It's one we played a lot of in school as well, but I've played it since I've left school. It's quite fun to play. It's I feel like it's better than tennis to play because it's sort of easier to keep a rally going. Because it's like the shuttlecock moves a lot slower. You can sort of, when you're not very good, you can keep it going back and forth a lot longer. You don't have to do as much running about. It's more sort of actually doing. In terms of watching it, I'll do watch it at the Olympics. It's quite interesting. China are like very good at it. They usually win, but I do like watching badminton. It's quite interesting. For me, yeah, it's good. I'd say it's a B tier. Then we have skateboarding. This is one I've tried like a tiny bit. I think when you're young, almost everyone's had a little go on a skateboard, but like I'm not good at it. In terms of watching it, I don't really watch skateboarding. I have watched the occasional video on YouTube, but it's mainly more stupid ones, like people have made like a weird like triple decker skateboard and stuff like that rather than watching actual skateboarding. I think it could be interesting, but I've certainly never done it much and I don't really watch it, so I think probably a D tier. Then we have skiing. I have been skiing a couple of times, mainly on sort of like natural snow, on like the fake like not AstroTurf but AstroTurf-ish, like downhill slopes, because you don't get much snow in this country. I certainly don't think there's any snow ski slopes in this country. So, but yeah, it is enjoyable to do. It is expensive. Is another one. Skiing sort of associated with like a bit of a rich people holiday. Is you go skiing. It is fun. It's quite dangerous. It's like a good chance of crashing, injuring yourself. In terms of watching it, I will watch a lot of the skiing at the Winter Olympics. The downhill was interesting. Ski jumping's interesting. It's go so far. The downhills are going so fast. Even like sort of cross country and like biathlon. It's in the skiing realm. I do enjoy watching it, and the times I've done it, I must say I've enjoyed doing it, but I haven't got to do it that much. I think for me, it's probably an A tier. It's very fun, but it's just expensive to do. I feel like if it was cheaper, a lot more people would do it. Okay, then we have snowboarding, which is sort of similar, but instead of like two individual skis, you have one board. This is sort of like, I guess it's sort of the cooler version of skiing. I feel like this is more associated with like doing tricks and like stuff like that rather than going fast. I've never actually been snowboarding. In terms of watching it, I've watched it at the Winter Olympics occasionally, but it's usually like a half pipe. I think there's a lot less snowboarding than skiing at the Winter Olympics. Sean White was like the really famous good one. Yeah, I think I've never done it, and I certainly don't like watching it as much as skiing. So I think it's fine though. I think it's a C tier. Then we have football, or some people call soccer. This is, being from the UK, is biggest sport in like this country. It's the biggest sport in the world, and I think that is, for a good reason. It's fun to play. It's another one that you don't need much to play really. You can just get a ball, and then you can do kick-ups with yourself. Just boot it against a wall. Play wally. If you've got a goal and a few here, you can, play cuppies, crossbar challenge, heads and volleys, all sorts. In PE, having a match with your mates is always great. Playing a bit of Sunday league or five-a-side and stuff like that as well, outside of school, always fun. In terms of watching it, I'm a big fan of watching football. I must say I don't like VAR. It was better before VAR came in, but it's still very good. There's a reason it's the most popular sport in the world, and I think it's an S tier. Then we have swimming. This is one that I think almost everyone's probably done. At least at our school, you like did swimming lessons in school occasionally as well. But I also did swimming lessons outside of school. I think most people can probably swim. I'm sure there's a decent amount that can't, but I think the majority will be able to. It's decently fun. I mean, I guess I get a bit bored just doing lengths back and forwards after a bit, but you know, you can. It's fun for a bit, you know. Mainly, you know, doing a bit of diving or whatever. In terms of watching it, I'll watch a fair bit of swimming at the Olympics. You know, it's another race I do like. Like I said, I like pretty much any form of race. I can give it a watch. There's an awful lot of different, you know, there's different strokes, different lengths and things. But I think swimming, yeah, it's a good sport. You do need a swimming pool to do it, obviously, or you can go in you need a body of water anyway. There's like people who go wild swimming and stuff, but yeah, I think it's I think it's B tier. Then we have table tennis. This is another one I enjoy, mainly playing it. I can't say I watch much of it. I have watched some of it, but not a lot. But in terms of playing it, it's very fun. You don't need like a big space to play it. You just need like a table tennis table and a bit of a gap either side. And you know, you only need 2 people to do it. Get a nice game going. It's easily accessible as well. You don't need to run about a lot or whatever. You can keep it kind of chilled, or you know, you can try if you want. Like I said though, I've never really watched much of it. I think I have occasionally watched it at the Olympics, but not often. And I certainly don't watch it outside of that. But I do really enjoy playing it. But I think the lack of watching puts it into A tier. I can't reach S if I'm not enjoying playing and watching it. Okay, next up we have, I believe, Taekwondo. I think this is like the sort of martial art that's about sort of kicking. You get like points for landing like a body shot, and a headshot's worth like more. This is one again that I have only watched at like the Olympics, if there's like British people in it. It's watchable, but you know, it's not the most interesting. I've certainly never done it. I think it's probably not sure actually. I think it's probably another D tier. D tier is getting a bit full, but I think, yeah, these are just sort of the ones that I'm like, yeah, not too interested in. Then we have tennis. This is, you know, another worldwide sport. I think everyone knows this one, like most people. I have played a decent amount of tennis. I used to enjoy tennis when I was younger, or you know, go and play with your friends even in more recent years. In terms of watching it, I will watch like sort of the majors and the finals of the majors and things. So I might watch if the British person's doing well, and I'll watch it at the Olympics. But I'm not the biggest tennis watching fan. In terms of playing it, it's yeah, I quite enjoy playing tennis. You know, it's like a good mixture of running about, playing a game. You know, you can do doubles, singles. You can just sort of like, you know, if you're a bit chill, you just want to have a rally, just trying to hit it backwards and forwards is also fine if you don't want to actually play a game. Yeah, I think it's quite entertaining. I think it's A tier. Then we have sort of sprinting or track running, you know. I'm going to take this as more shorter distances. In terms of doing it, you do it in like PE, you know, you do sprints and short distance running. But like, I don't think many people just go for a sprint, will they? Unless you're in some form of race and things. I don't think people really will go out and do sprints for 10 minutes for fun. But maybe they do. I don't know. In terms of watching it, you know, it is interesting to watch. You know, the Olympics, 100 metres is like the sort of, probably the biggest event in it. You know, Usain Bolt obviously is like mega famous from winning like 100 metres, 200 metres. But yeah, I don't think it's that fun to do. And it's sort of one that you kind of like, there's obviously technique behind it, but it's kind of if you're fast sort of thing. But yeah, it is enjoyable-ish to watch. I think probably a C tier. Then we have, I believe, squash. This is kind of like tennis-ish, but you're just kind of hitting it off a wall rather than straight at the other person. It is. You can also play it by yourself, I guess, just hitting it against the wall, you know, try and keep it going for as long as you can. This is one that I think is more fun to play than watch. I haven't watched it much, but I have played a reasonable amount of it. I'm certainly not the best at it, but, you know, I have played it. It's enjoyable to play. I imagine it'd probably be enjoyable to watch, but I just can't say I have watched it much. I think it's a solid B tier. We have volleyball. This is one I've never played, and I've never really watched much of it either. I think it's like sort of big for like American sort of women. I think it's sort of seen as like, you know, you see in TV shows there's always like women characters that are like volleyball players and stuff. I think I occasionally sort of see it at the Olympics, but not much. Yeah, I've never done it. I don't really watch it. Just lack of exposure, really. I'm just gonna have to be F tier. Then water polo. This is another one that I've never done. I've never really watched it either. I do watch it very occasionally at the Olympics, maybe like once or twice. It's yeah, it's not the most interesting thing for me. It's a lot of just swimming after the ball that goes loose, kind of like passing it about. It's kind of like much slower and worse handball, I guess, is how I'd describe it. Which, yeah, that weren't on the list with it, handball, unless I've missed it. But yeah, no, water polo for me, it's not very interesting, I think. F tier. Then we have weightlifting. This is one that I've never really done. I mean, I've been to the gym and like lifted a lot smaller weights than this just for fitness, but in terms of like competitive like powerlifting, weightlifting, I've certainly never tried that. I don't really watch it either. I do watch sort of World's Strongest Man, which is it's not really weightlifting, but it's kind of, you know, similar. It's like lifting heavy stuff, but that's more interesting to me because this is just like stand there, lift the highest weight you can, whereas World's Strongest Man, you're like running about with tyres and stuff and like lifting boulders up and lifting up cars and pulling a truck and sort of more gimmicky stuff, I guess, but that's more interesting to me. Whereas this, yeah, I think it's F tier. Then finishing off with like traditional wrestling. This is one I've certainly never done. I've also barely ever watched it. I think the only wrestling things I've ever seen is like professional wrestling, like WWE, when there's people who go into that who were good at wrestling, like Kurt Angle. I feel like I've seen Kurt Angle win the gold medal. I feel like I've seen Brock Lesnar like just like really dominating when he was like 16 in this, but that's like my only experience in like professional wrestling, not professional wrestling, amateur wrestling it's called, in it, Greco-Roman wrestling, I guess. Yeah, so for me, I haven't done it and I don't watch it, so we'll have to put it in F tier for now. So we'll have a quick review to finish us off. In S tier I have basketball, cycling and football or soccer. These are sports I both really enjoy doing and watching, so I'm happy that all three of these are in S tier. I don't want to move any of them down. In A tier I have sort of longer distance running / not on the track running, skiing, table tennis and normal tennis. I think in terms of if it was just playing, I'd have table tennis in S, but I don't really enjoy watching it. And then the others are sort of a mix of I enjoy doing it and watching it. In B tier, I have BMX, cricket, dodgeball, MMA, pool, badminton, swimming, squash. These are either sports I enjoy playing or watching, or kind of, they're okay at both. C tiers, I'm not going to stop just reading them all out, you can see them, you don't need me to read them out. C tier is sort of ones I'll either enjoy watching and haven't done, or, you know, I've done but never really watched it. D tier is the ones that I'm like, I've done it and I didn't really enjoy it, or haven't done it and don't like watching it. Do I want to move anything there? I feel like I might move archery into C, because I do fairly enjoy doing archery. And it's not terrible to watch. But, yeah, I think it's C. I might move skateboarding as well. Skateboarding in the Olympics this year as well. I enjoyed fairly watching that a bit. I'll move them two up. There's this, yeah, the other things that here, like, I don't watch much, or have never watched, and I've never done. Yeah. And then F tier is things I've basically never done, or when I have done it I certainly didn't enjoy it, and stuff that I don't watch either, or when I have watched it it's not enjoyable. And the bottom tier we have this one that I don't know at all, and this one that could be kendo, so let me know what these two are. Confirm if this one is kendo and what this one is, I couldn't even have a guess. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what your favourite sport is, or what you think I've overrated, underrated. If you want to see a specific tier list, suggest it in the comments and I'll probably get around to doing it. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like it. You can subscribe to the channel if you want to see different tier lists. You get one every day. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and goodbye.